Alright, so in the last video we went ahead and set up our core template, core theme with an index, a header, and a footer file. And we also implemented the main posts loop, but we don't have anything else. We just have the title. We need to fix that. But before we do that, I want to make it so that we can actually add images to our posts, because right now if we go and we try to add a new post, we don't have a featured image area. So we're going to have to create a functions.php file. Alright, and for now I'm just going to close all these out. Okay, so let's say new file, and we'll call it functions.php. And we're going to let's create a function, and we're going to call it theme setup. Okay, let's add featured image support. So we'll say add underscore theme underscore support, and we want post thumbnails. Okay, and then underneath the function declaration we're going to say add action. And then in here we want to pass in the hook that we want, which is going to be after setup theme. Okay, and then the function that we want to use is theme setup. Alright, let's save that. And now if we go and reload, now you can see we have a featured image area. So let's create a couple categories first before we add a post. Let's say technology. Let's say food, entertainment, business. Okay, I only want technology. Okay, so for the title we'll just say blog post 1, and I'm going to grab some text from lorem ipsum, paste that in, and then we need to select a featured image. So I'm going to choose, you should have these in your program files, project files, but I'm going to choose this image of the Microsoft Surface and set featured image and publish. Okay, if we go back and we reload, you can see that it is seeing that post, but it doesn't look too good. Alright, so let's add one more. We'll say add new. This will be blog post 2. Paste some text in. Let's choose food for a category, and then upload an image. We're going to choose the burger image and publish. Alright, so now we have a couple posts to work with. And we have kind of an issue here because we're putting the image in its own column inside of the post, and some posts aren't going to have images. For instance, the Hello World post does not have an image. So we need to have some kind of conditional where we'll say if this post has an image, then whatever, format it a certain way, and then we'll do an else, and if it doesn't have an image, we'll format it a certain way. So let's go into our index file, and I'm going to make this a little bigger. Okay, so we have our loop here, we have a row. Let me just indent this a little. Alright, so what we'll do is right after the excuse me, right after the row div is where we're going to check to see if there's an image. So we'll say php if has post thumbnail. And down here we'll say php else and then let's do PHP end if. Okay, so if there is a thumbnail, then it's going to show this, which is a 3-column and a 9-column. But if there is no thumbnail, then we want it to be a full 12-column. Okay, so we'll turn that to 12. Get rid of that. So we'll start with posts that have the thumbnail. I'm going to get rid of this text. And what we'll do here is create a div with a class of post thumbnail. Okay, and then here we can say the post thumbnail. Alright, so let's take a look at that so far. Okay, so it's showing the images. They're insanely big, but that's alright. The functionality's there. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the posts in an article tag. We're going to go right inside the while loop, and we'll say article, and we're going to give it a class of post. And we'll want to end that down here. Okay. And now we'll go into our style CSS folder, our file, and let's say article.post image, and we're going to set the width to 100%. Okay, it's going to be 100% of its container. We're also going to set the height to auto. And let's do margin top 30 pixels. Okay, so that looks much better. Now let's go back to index and back to, we want to go right here where we have this title. Now we want the title to be a link. Alright, so let's go right here and let's put in an A tag. Okay, and then that's going to go to, we want to do echo the permalink. Alright, and that should be a link to that post. Alright, and now under the H2, we're going to put our metadata. So we'll put this in a paragraph. We'll give it a class of meta. And let's see. Let's say posted at, and then we can get the time by using PHP the time. We'll say on, and then we'll do the date. And let's say by, open up some strong tags. And in here we want the author's name. Excuse me. So we'll say PHP the author. And that should be a function. So let's make sure that's working. Which it is. Okay, you can see it's telling us the time, the date, and also the author. And this is a link. If I click on it, it takes us to that page or that post. Now what we want is the excerpt of the content, but not all of it. We're going to use excerpt instead of content because that'll give us, it'll truncate it. Alright, so let's go. We want to still be in the 9-column div, so we'll go under this paragraph. And let's say div class excerpt. Alright, and then let's do PHP echo get the excerpt. Okay, let's see if that works. Alright, that looks good. Now we also want a read more button, so we're going to go right under that. And let's say a class, we'll use Bootstrap class BTN and then BTN default. And let's see, href, we can set that to the permalink. Alright, and then for the text we'll say read more, and for the arrow symbol we can use ampersand RAQUO semicolon. Alright, so let's take a look at that, and there we go. Let's put a line break right above it though. So now what we want to do is take care of the posts that don't have an image. Okay, right now the Hello World post doesn't, and it's not showing up because we haven't put any code in that yet. Alright, so let's go, where is it? We're checking for the thumbnail here, and we say else, and then this div is where the code for the post without an image will go. So what we'll do here is let's put the title. So I'm going to grab this, copy, and then we want, actually we'll just copy the rest of it. So the meta class here, the excerpt, and the button or the link. So we'll copy that and put that right under the title. Alright, let's see what that gives us. Alright, so now we can have posts without images and not have just an empty space. Alright, if we didn't do the conditional, then this would just have an empty space where the image was supposed to go. Okay, now I want to add a little bit of CSS to make this look a little better. So let's go to Style CSS, and let's see, let's do article.post, and I want to put a border on the bottom of each post. So this will be gray, solid, and 1 pixel. Alright, and let's add some padding. We'll say padding bottom 20 and margin bottom 30. Okay, but the last one, the last article or post, we don't want to have a border. So what we can do is say article.post and then use last child to target that last one, and we'll set border bottom to none. Okay, so the metadata, I also want to have a little bit of style, so we'll say article.post.meta, and we're going to give it a background. Oops. We'll give it a background of very light gray. And let's see, we're also going to have to add a little padding. We'll say 8 pixels by 12 pixels. Alright, and let's say color, we'll make it a dark gray. So let's save that and reload, and now that looks a little better. So we're going to go ahead and stop here, and in the next video I want to get the Navbar set up with the custom walker class. Alright, so we'll get into that next. Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to implement a Bootstrap Navbar with a WordPress theme using WP Bootstrap Nav Walker. Alright, so this is a really popular script that will integrate your Navbar so that you can create sub items and things like that. So you want to go to this GitHub page, and we're going to just go ahead and download the zip. Okay, and if you open that up, you'll have a folder, and that'll have the PHP file inside of it. Okay, so what we want to do is let's open up our project folder. Okay, and we're just going to bring that PHP file into our folder. Okay, close that up. And now we want to open up the functions PHP file, and we want to include that file. So let's go to the top here, and let's do require once, and we're going to put in WP underscore Bootstrap underscore navwalker.php. Okay, so that'll bring it in. And then make sure that's saved. And if we go to the GitHub page and look, you can see that we just did this step. Now the usage, we want to use this WP nav menu function inside of our navbar. Alright, so let's grab this whole thing and copy it, and then go into our header file where our navbar is, and go down into this div where we have the collapse class, okay, right above the form, and we're going to paste this in. Alright, so this basically defines a bunch of options for us. We don't need all of this stuff. I'm going to get rid of this menu item here. Okay, we want the theme location, which is going to be primary. Depth is 2, that's good. Let's see. Container. We're going to set container to false. Get rid of the quotes. And we don't need a container class or a container ID. Get rid of that. Menu class, that's good. Fallback, that's fine. And that's good. Okay, so let's keep it just like that and save it. Now we need to go back to our functions PHP, and we want to register our nav menus. So inside of this theme setup, we're going to say register nav menus, and that's going to take in an array. Okay, so this is going to be called primary, and we're going to set that to double underscore parentheses, and then the readable name, which will just be primary menu. Okay, so we'll save that. Let's go back to the GitHub page. So we did this, that's fine. Alright, so make sure everything's saved, and then we're going to go back into the back end and go down to appearance, and you should have this menus option. Okay, we're going to click that. You know what, let's create an extra page. So we'll say about publish. Let's create one more, and we'll call this our team. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the menus page and take a look at this menu, and let's go ahead and say create menu, and then you want to make sure you check this right here, primary menu, and then save it. Alright, and then we'll go to our front end and reload, and now you can see we have our menu. and it works. So let's test out the drop down functionality. All we should have to do is take one of these and put them right in here. We'll put the Our Team one in there as well, and then save menu, go back, and now we have a drop down. Alright, so awesome. So you can see how easy that was to implement a Navbar, and this is definitely something that you could use in other projects as well. Any kind of Bootstrap WordPress theme. Alright, so now what I want to do is get the sidebar set up so that we can add sidebar widgets. So still in the functions.php file, we're going to go underneath the add action here, and let's create a function. And we're going to call this init underscore widgets. Okay, and that's going to take in an ID. Now in here we want to say register sidebar, and that's going to take in an array, and then we have a bunch of options. So let's say name sidebar, ID sidebar. Alright, now we can also include other things here. For instance, we can say before widget. Now what this does is it allows us to insert code right before the widget renders. So we're going to need this because we want our widgets to render inside Bootstrap panels. So we need to include the panel classes. So let's put a div, give it a class of panel, and also panel default. Alright, and then let's do after widget, and that's just going to be two ending divs. Alright, now we also have the ability to add content before and after the title, which we also want to do. So for this one, before title, and this is going to have a div with the class of panel heading. Okay, and then we also want the h3, and we're going to give that a class of panel title. Alright, and then finally we'll do after title. That's going to be the ending h3, ending div, and then we also want the start of the panel body. Okay, so that should be good. Now we need to have an action, so we're going to say add action. Alright, and the hook will be widgets underscore init. Alright, and then of course the function we want to call is init widgets. So we'll make sure that's saved. And if we go to the back end and reload, you should now have a widgets option under appearance, and you should also see sidebar. So what I'm going to do is bring over categories, and let's save, and let's see if those render. Alright, good. So now we have our categories, and you can see that now we have the panel around it as well. Alright, let's also bring over recent posts. Change that to 3. And also let's bring over recent comments. Alright, so let's take a look, and there they are. Now we have an issue because I want these to show up as list groups, which are formatted better than this. They take away the bullet, add some padding, add some borders. So what we'll need to do is kind of create our own version of these widgets inside of our theme folder. Okay, so what we'll do is inside the theme folder, we'll create another folder called Widgets. And I'm actually going to go to my folder from within my file manager. Alright, and then what I'm going to want to do is if we go to WP admin, actually no, WP includes, and then widgets, you'll see all of the core widget files here. Alright, so we want to grab the categories, the recent comments, and the recent posts, and we're going to copy. Make sure you don't cut, make sure you copy them. And we're going to bring them over to our theme folder, and then widgets. Okay, we'll paste those in. And let's start with the categories one. So let's open that up through Sublime. Alright, and first thing we want to do is the class name. We need to change that. So what I'll do is put an underscore and then custom. Okay. And then what I want to change is the class names for the UL and the LIs. Okay, I just want to add the Bootstrap classes. So we want to go to right here where we have the UL, and we're going to add class list group. Now we also want the list items to have the class of list group item, but the way that this is set up, we can't access the list item tags from within here. So we need to do a little bit of customization in the functions PHP file. So let's open that up, and what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath, we're going to go to the very bottom, and we're going to create, actually let's add a comment here first. We'll say adds list group item to categories li, just so we know what it does. Okay, so function, we'll call it add new class list categories. Okay, and then we're going to pass in a variable. We'll say list is going to equal string replace. Okay, and we'll say cat item. Okay, that's the original class name. We want to change that. Now we still want it to have the cat item class because it needs that, but we also want to add on the list group item class. Alright. And then we just need to return list. Okay. So what we want to do, instead of adding an action here, we want to add filter. Okay, basically an action is used when you want to add something. A filter is when you want to change something. Alright, so we're going to say add filter WP underscore list categories, and then we just want the name of our function. Okay, so we're not out of the woods yet with these widgets. We have to register them. So before we do that, we need to include them up here, or require. So we're going to say require once Okay, it's going to be the widgets folder that's in our theme folder, and then we need to include each one. So class WP widget, what do we got? Categories .php. Okay, we might as well include all of them. Okay, so we get the recent posts, and we have recent comments. Okay, now we need to register. So down at the bottom here, we'll say function Wordstrap register widgets. And what we want here is the class name, so WP underscore widget recent posts and custom. Okay, this one will be recent comments, and then we'll do our categories. Alright, now we need another add action, and this is going to be again on widgets init, and then we just need the name of the function. Alright, so let's save that and go and reload. Cannot declare class recent posts. Oh, did I not add that? Oh, I didn't change this. So these should have custom as well. Okay, so we have all of our widgets registered, and categories now has the list item class, so that looks good. We also want to add these classes to these two as well, so that instead of the bullet points, we have it looking like this. So let's go to our recent posts widget, and we want to go down. We want to find the UL tag that we need to change, which is right here. Okay, so we're just going to add a class of list group, and then the LI will have a class of list group item. Okay, let's reload. That looks good. Now let's go to the recent comments. And where is it? Right here. So we're going to add a class of list group, and then the LI will add a class of list group item. Save, reload, and there we go. So now we have some custom widgets. Okay, and obviously you can do whatever you like. You could make these look totally different if you wanted to, and it would only affect these widgets when your theme is loaded. Okay, so you're not editing any core WordPress code. That would be bad. Okay, you don't want to do that. So we have our navbar set up as well as our sidebar widgets. So we're almost there. In the next video, I want to work on the search. We'll put a search box, and also the single pages, because right now if we click on a post, it brings us to the right post, but we want it to look different than this. Okay, we want the image to be bigger and so forth. Okay, so I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, in the last video we went ahead and fixed our navbar, so that's now working. We also created our widgets, our sidebar widget area, along with some customized widgets. So now what I want to do is add a search bar in the Navbar. Alright, so we're going to go to our header file and go down to where we have this empty form, and we're going to add some stuff to it. So first thing, we're going to add a method, and the method's going to be get. Okay, class, we can actually change this left. I want to put it on the right. Alright, we also need to add an action. Okay, in the action, we're going to use PHP tags, and we're going to say echo escape URL. Alright, because we want the URL checked and escaped. Alright, and we're going to use home underscore URL. And in here we just want slash. Okay, so basically we're just submitting to the home URL. Now, as far as the fields, we're just going to want one field for the search, but let's add a label. So label, and we'll say for Navbar search. I'm going to give it a class of SR only. Okay, and let's say PHP underscore E search, and this is just for localization, this underscore E. And then we need a second parameter of a text domain. Alright, let's close up those PHP tags. And let's see, under the label, let's do div class form group. And in here we're going to have an input. We'll give it a type of text and give it a class of form control, which is just a Bootstrap class. And let's say name. We'll call it S for search. Let's give it an ID of Navbar search. Okay, and then we need to submit. So, whoops. So we'll say button. We'll give it a type of submit and give it class of BTN and BTN default. Okay, and then for the text, I'm just going to copy this, what we have here. There we go. Alright, let's save it. And let's do a search for lorem. It gives us those. Okay, let's search for the word one. 2. Alright, so now we have a search bar, and the last thing that we need to do is the single post. Okay, the single post page. So what we'll do is let's close up the header file, and we're going to create a file in our theme root, and let's save this, and we're going to save it as single.php. Now, just creating this file, if I go and click on one of these blog posts, it's completely blank because it's automatically looking at the single.php page. Alright, so what I want to do is copy everything that we have in index. Okay, so I'm going to copy all of it, put it in the single, save it, and then if we go and reload, it looks the same exact way as the index page. Alright, so let's go in and change some of that. So what we want to do, we want to let's remove this if has post thumbnail altogether. Alright, so I'm going to go down to where it says else, and I'm going to cut out from there up to the actual if statement, and then we need to go down and get rid of this end if. Alright. Okay, because if there's an image or not, it doesn't matter with the way that we're going to be formatting it. Alright, so we do want the image though, so we're going to put it, let's see, let's put it right under the heading. And I'm just going to paste this in. Okay, so we're putting in the thumbnail or the featured image if there is one. Alright, so let's save that and see what that looks like. Okay, so we have our big image now. Let's put a line break underneath it as well. Okay, so we don't want the read more, and we also want the full content, not the excerpt. Okay, so let's get rid of the read more, and instead of get the excerpt, let's do get the content. I think that should work. Yep. Actually, let's change this to the content and get rid of the echo. Okay, also let's change this class. There we go. So now it renders the HTML as well. So that's the single page. Now we're going to have comment functionality as well. So we're going to stop here, and in the next video we'll create a section for the comments as well as the comment form. Alright, so we're just about done here. The last thing we need to do is add some comment functionality to our single post page. Alright, so if we go into single.php and go down, let's see, I want to do it still within the panel body. So that ends here, so we'll go right above that. And you could put your code in here, but what I like to do is create a comments template, and we can just say PHP comments template. Alright, and we'll save that. And let's go and create a new folder. I'm sorry, a new file. And we'll save it as comments.php. Okay, and that needs to be in your theme folder. And then if we go ahead and type something in here, we'll say test and save, reload, and you can see we're getting test. Okay. So let's create a div. We'll give it a class of comments. And let's do PHP if have comments. Let's do an H3, give it a class of comments title. Alright, and then in here we'll say if get comments number is equal to 1. Okay, because I'm doing this because if there's only one comment, I want it to say whatever and then comment singular. If there's more than one, then I want it to say comments. So we're checking to see if there's one here. If there is, then we're going to echo get comments number and then just concatenate the word comment. Okay, and then we'll put an else. Copy that and just add an S to the end here. Okay, so that'll be the heading. Let's see, we need to end the PHP. Alright, and then under the h3 we'll have a UL, give it a class of row, and also comment list. So we're going to say WP list comments, and that's going to get passed in an array. Okay, we're going to use avatars, so let's say avatar size. I'm going to set that to 90. And then we have a callback which we have to create as well. Okay, so that callback, we'll say add theme comments, and this is going to go inside the functions.php file. Now I have a few big blocks of code that I need to use, so I'm going to just paste some of this in. Alright, so this here is going to check to see if comments are closed, and if they are, then we can leave a little note. Okay, so just get that copied. Now let's go under this div and we'll put a horizontal rule, and then we need to create our comment arguments, okay, and then create the form. So I'm going to paste this in. Okay, so we have a variable called comment args, and that's set to an array with a bunch of different values. You can have your submit button label, the title, reply, notes, things like that. And then down here we're calling the comment form function and passing in those arguments. Alright, so you want to get that saved. Now if we go and we try to check it out now, you can see that we have a form here, and let's try to add something. Send. Okay, now what's going on here is it's looking for the callback that we specified, okay, which is up here, add theme comments. Okay, it's looking for that and it's not finding it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into functions.php and we're going to fix that. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. Alright, so we have a function called add theme comments, and that should match your callback. Alright, and we're passing in comment, args, and depth. Alright, and then down here you can add some tags and classes so that you can style this. Alright, I'm just going to go with what we have here. Alright, now we're going to have to post some other stuff in as well. So don't get overwhelmed, it is quite a bit. But you can actually get this code off in the WordPress documentation. Alright, so from here down. Actually, let me show you where I got this. Okay, so this page here, if we go down, basically all the stuff that we've done, and then the code that I just pasted in is right here. Alright, so just copying that and pasting that in, that'll give you the correct functionality. Alright, now I don't think I changed anything from this code to that. So if you want to just go to the WordPress documentation and grab the code, or you can just copy it if you'd like. But let's go ahead and save that and see what happens. Alright, so not much. Oh, we have the callback. I have this parentheses in here for some reason, so let's clear that out. There we go. Alright, now the background here isn't going over the whole thing, but that's no issue. That's not a problem. Let me just take a look at the CSS. Okay, so that's a well. Let's open up style.css. And let's see, the class is called comment item. So let's go in here and we'll say dot comment item And I'm just going to set overflow to auto. And I'm also going to add comment list and set list style to none. Margin is going to be 0. I'm going to mark that as important. And then padding also 0. And there we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so we can reply, we can leave comments. Awesome. So that's it. We are done. We now have a WordPress theme with Bootstrap, and you could use this as kind of like a base theme to create other Bootstrap themes. You can use the Navbar walker, which is really helpful. But yeah, so hopefully you guys learned a little something in this project, and thanks for watching. Hey guys, welcome to your next project. In this project we're going to be building a Twitter Bootstrap WordPress theme. Okay, so we're going to integrate Bootstrap with WordPress. Now the look of the template is pretty simple. I wasn't going for some spectacular design. The goal of this project is to get you to see how we can bring the two together, and then you can use it to build more Bootstrap themes for WordPress in the future. Okay, and we'll probably use this as a base in one of our other projects as well. So let's take a look. We have a standard Bootstrap navbar up here, and you can see that we have a drop down. We have drop down functionality. The way that we got to do this was by using this WP Bootstrap NavWalker class. All right, this is the most common and probably the easiest way to integrate a Bootstrap navbar with drop down functionality. And WordPress. Alright, so we'll be implementing that. We also have a search box up here, so we have some custom code in the header file that allows us to use the search box and have it work correctly. And this will work for posts and pages. So for instance, if I type lorem and search, it's going to bring back everything that has the word lorem in it. Okay, so if we go to the back end here, we can see we have some posts that I created. We have the featured image right here on the main page. Okay, if we look down here, you can see we have the featured image. If we clicked on the title or the read more button, it takes us to an inner page with a larger image, and you can see we have our comments down here and the comment form. Now on the side here, we have a widget sidebar. And we actually took some of the core widgets and just tweaked them a little bit so that we could use the Bootstrap list group. Okay, so categories, recent posts, and recent comments. We're going to tweak those widgets just a little bit to make them fit in with the Bootstrap theme. Alright, so that's what we'll be doing in this project. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started on our Bootstrap theme for WordPress. What I have here is just a default installation of WordPress. I haven't touched anything. I haven't created any posts or anything like that. Alright, so we're starting from scratch. Here I have Sublime Text, and in the sidebar I have my WordPress installation. And you can see in the themes folder we have just the default themes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new folder in the themes folder, and we're going to call this template Wordstrap. Okay, first thing we're going to create is the style.css file. Oops, don't want to do that. Okay, and this also acts kind of like a manifest file. Okay, we need to put in our comments up here. Alright. So let's go ahead and add a theme name. Okay, we're going to call this Wordstrap. And let's see, we don't need that. Next thing will be the author. I'll put my name, you can put your own name. Okay, let's do author URI. Okay, we'll just say eduonics.com. What else? Description. We'll say simple Bootstrap theme for WordPress. Okay, let's do version. This will be version 1.0. And I think that should be good. Alright, so let's save that. And then let's create an index.php file. Alright, now it should be able to show under themes now. If we go to appearance and then themes, you can see we have this Wordstrap. Now I do have a screenshot file, so I'm just going to paste that in the theme folder. Okay, you can find this in your project files. Very simple. Let's go ahead and reload. Okay, very simple. We just have the word Wordstrap. Okay, it looks alright. So what we want to do now, let's go into index.php and we'll put some base HTML tags in here. So for the title, we'll say Wordstrap. Okay, we're going to need Bootstrap, so let's go ahead and get that. If we go to getbootstrap.com and we'll go ahead and download it. Okay, we'll open up the zip file and let's also open up our theme folder. And what we want to do here is we want to create a CSS folder. Okay, and we're going to bring bootstrap.css over. Alright, and then we'll also create a JS folder. And we're going to bring over Bootstrap.js. Okay, so we'll close that up. Now let's go back into index.php, and we're going to have to include a couple link tags. So let's say link rel equals style sheet, and let's see href. Now we want to go in the CSS folder and then bootstrap.css. Alright, we also want to make sure we include the main style sheet. Now to do that, Bootstrap gives us a function we can use. Okay, so we'll say style sheet and then href. Okay, this is where we can put in some PHP tags, and we're going to say blog info, and in here we just want to put in style sheet underscore URL. Alright, and then it'll bring all the system style sheets. Alright. Now what I want to do is grab a Navbar. So on the Bootstrap website, let's go to where is it? Components and then Navbar, and let's grab this. We're going to take the whole thing here, copy, and let's put that in the body, save it, and let's see what we have. Okay, we'll go to our front end. Oh, I didn't activate it, so let's go ahead and activate the theme. Alright, now the reason that it looks like this is because it's not seeing the Bootstrap CSS file. Alright, if we look at the source code, you can see it's looking in /CSS Bootstrap, but this file is actually in the theme folder. So what we need to do is go back to index.php, and let's go up here, get rid of that dot, and we're going to say PHP blog info, and in here we want to pass in template underscore directory. Okay, and then we'll end that PHP tag, and that's going to go inside of our template directory and then in CSS. So we'll save that, go back, and now it's working. Okay, so we want to change this navbar a little bit. Let's go down to the nav tag here, and I just want to indent this. Let's see. Alright. Now we're going to dumb this down quite a bit. So starting at the top, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the fluid. I want this to just be container. Okay, we'll get rid of the comments. We don't need that. And then we have this navbar header class. Let's see, this button, this is for responsiveness. So when it's on a mobile or just a smaller screen in general, we'll have a button that we can click that will then show the menu. So we're going to leave all that stuff. For the brand, let's change that. Let's change that to Wordstrap. And let's see. Actually, you know what? Let's not do Wordstrap. Let's make this dynamic. We want it to reflect whatever we have as the site name in WordPress. Alright, so let's see. We're going to do PHP blog info, and then in here we just want to pass in name. Alright, and for the href for the link, let's say PHP blog info. In here we want to put in URL. Alright. Now this down here is where we're going to implement the WP Nav Walker class. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of this whole UL. Okay, just like that. And then we have our form. This is going to be the search form, and it's going to be pretty much completely redone. So I'm going to take out everything that's in the form tags, which ends right here. Alright, so we get that, and then we're going to take out this whole UL as well. Alright, so we're left with just this. Okay, so this is the entire nav. So we'll hold off just for now with that. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so it's very basic. We just have our branding. We'll implement the Walker nav, or the nav walker, in the next video, but let's just continue on with some of the base HTML. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go under where the nav ends, and we're going to create a div, and let's give it a class of container and also index. Alright, and then in here we're going to have a row. Okay, we're going to use Bootstrap's grid system. So we'll have a row, and inside there we're going to have a column. Say call MD8. So that'll be an 8-column div. And we're also going to have a 4-column div. So I'm going to copy that. Okay, we're just going to change that to a 4. This will be the sidebar. So inside the 8-column div, we're going to have a panel. So we'll say class equals panel, and we'll say panel default. Okay, and then inside that, we're going to have the panel heading. Alright, and in the panel heading we'll have an H3. We'll give it a class of panel title. Okay, and for the text we're going to say blog posts. I'm not sure why this isn't indenting automatically. It used to. Okay, so that's our panel title. Now we want to go under the heading div and then put the body. So we want div class, and this will be panel body. Okay, so in here is where we're going to have our post loop. So let's say PHP if, okay, we're going to do if have posts. If have posts, I'm going to use the shorthand syntax. Alright, and then we're going to put in our while. So we'll say while have posts. And we're going to go like that and say the underscore post. Alright, let's do our end while. Now we're going to have two columns here. We're going to have one for the image and then one for all the data. Alright, so let's put in a class called row, and then we're going to do div class. This will be call md3. Okay, and we'll just say image here. And then we'll have our 9 columns. So this will be call md9. And in here, let's put in the title. We can say PHP. Actually, we'll put this in an H2. PHP echo the underscore title. Alright, let's save that. Okay, so here you can see we have our 3-column div where the image will go, and then our 9-column with the content. So we'll get back to adding all the content there in a little bit, but let's continue on and add the sidebar code here. Okay, now this is going to be a widget area, so what we'll need to do is create a functions.php file, and we'll need to register the widgets we want, which will be just the sidebar. So right here what we'll do is, let's say PHP, and then we're going to see if there's actually a widget active here. So if is underscore active underscore sidebar, and then we need the actual widget position, which will be sidebar. Okay, and then in here what we'll do is say PHP dynamic underscore sidebar. Okay, we also need the position, which will be sidebar. Okay, it doesn't have to be called sidebar, you can call it whatever you'd like. Alright, so let's save that. And let's add the footer real quick. Okay, so underneath, we want to go under the row. Actually, I'm sorry, we want to go under the whole container. Alright, and what we want to do is we want to create another container. Alright, and let's put a horizontal rule here, and then we want our footer tags. Okay, inside the footer we'll have a paragraph, and let's do a copyright. Alright. Now I also want to include two things. We want jQuery and we want the Bootstrap JavaScript file. Okay, we're going to put our JavaScripts right here. And actually I'm going to paste this in. We'll paste in the jQuery, which is just going to be the CDN. And we'll also paste in the Bootstrap JS. Now we're using this blog info template directory just like we did with the CSS file. Alright, so let's save that and reload. And I used the wrong symbol for the copyright. This should actually be an ampersand. Alright, so I think before we end this part, what I want to do is split this up into a header and a footer file in addition to index.php. So in index.php, we're going to grab from the very top down to the end of the nav, so right here. Okay, we're going to cut that, and let's create a new file called header.php. Oops, why do I keep doing that? Header.php, and we'll paste that in, save it, and then in its place inside index.php, we're going to open up a set of PHP tags, and we're going to say get_header. Alright, so that should look the exact same, which it does. And then we're going to do the same thing with footer. We're going to grab from this container down to the very bottom. We'll cut that out and create a footer file. And paste it in, save it, and then in index.php we just want to say get_footer. Okay, now that should look the exact same. Good. So that cleans things up a little bit. In the next video we will work on the posts, okay, this post row right here. Make that look a little better. We're going to include the metadata and all that. Alright, so I will see you in the next video.